sell to rich people, they pay better, right? It is much easier to service fewer customers, promise more, and have less operational drag to servicing them at a higher price point. They also tend to be more qualified people. Like, I promise you this, if you talk to people who are paying you $500 a month, you automatically level up your mindset in terms of how much money exists in the world. I tend to prefer, I'd rather sell 50 people at $1,000 a month personally, and then do everything I can to make sure that they had an exceptional experience, because then I'd have the money to do it and I'd feel like my time was being valued. Raise the price. This is the nature of supply and demand. This offer is so good at this price, too many people are buying it. Guess what that means? Price goes up. That's how supply and demand works. So that's not a real problem. That's a good problem. Like, this is a very valuable question. If we only did one thing in the community that would make it worth 10 times more than what the price is, what would it be? Just ask that question. It's open-ended. And what happens is, because most people buy because of one thing. They read the list, but then they're, ooh, that's the one I want. And then they buy, especially at a low ticket price point. If you have the time, strong recommendation, add a personalized onboarding call. Like, it's such a good CTA. So many people will buy just for that one thing. You're gonna get paid to talk to your customers, which will extend the LTV. It'll increase the price point. I would include that, personalized onboarding, because I think you'll be able to charge. I want you to make money. Hopefully you're watching this. I want you to make money, and I want you to convert a higher percentage, and I want you to do it the highest price, because those are the levers, right? Every position has an advantage. So the fact that it's your first one is not my first one. This is my only one. There's a difference there. It's like, I'm looking for a partner. I'm not looking for clients. You can either be, quote, an expert based on an achievement that you've already done, or you become an expert based on work that no one wants to do. I could have said, hey, I added 8 million people across all my audiences using this content strategy. Or I could say, I posted 35,000 times over the last 40 months. This is what I learned. I could not even talk about the output. I just talk about my inputs. And a lot of people just want the deal on time. There we go. That's where all of us live. And so if you're really worried about what other monkeys are gonna say about you on camera, just remember that they're gonna die. So the way that you get around imposter syndrome is just don't claim shit you haven't done. Like, there's nothing impostery about saying like, hey, I used to struggle with anxiety and I still do a little bit, but I did this thing and it helped me. Hopefully it helps you. It's the big shift from how to how I, but you lack the proof to be valid, which is why you feel like an imposter. So you only feel like an imposter if you pretend. So just don't pretend. Just be honest. Just say like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I would highly encourage you to just make a video and post it just to see what your thumb does before you shake where it says share. Starting a group on Skool is the fastest way to start an online business.
Good morning to the global population. We're here live at the SkoolGames mansion, and we're going to talk to some of the winners and see what it took
to win the SkoolGames.
54.1%, or 1 out of 2 people who start a paid community on Skool make their first dollar. And the way we do that is because we give them the tools, the training, and the support to do it.
Yo, the best part was the mansion.
Welcome to the SkoolGames mansion.
The mansion's insane. Look at this place.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the top, proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost.
All right, let's see here. Who we got in here? Coach Luna, Rex, John, Nav, Scott, Jesus, Devin, Alexi, Valentino, Veli. I'm gonna go with Veli. Yusef, Julian, Dan, Dana, or maybe Dana, you never know. Denisa, Lydia, Angel, Harut, Hope, Hope's office, Hope's autopilot, there you go. Chris Van Nest, Andrew, Nathan, Jeremy, Mad Hurry, Wayne, Barrow, what's up? What's good? Happy Monday. Happy Skool hangout. We're gonna have some good things for you today, or some mediocre or bad things. You never know. But it'll definitely be between, the worst thing you've ever heard and the best thing, or somewhere in between. So that I can promise you. Dabs for brains. What's up, Dabs for brains? Let me see if I can pull up the SkoolGames board real quick. See what we got. Let's see what our winners are at. So here's the agenda. Is everyone going on? I'll give you the quick scoop. So I will do a little bit of commentary, a little Madden style commentary on the leaderboard. Then Kirby will talk about a new feature release, which you guys will all be excited about. I was excited about it. Just heard about it. And then we will go into Q's and A's, or A's and Q's, as the French say it. So let me see if I can share my screen screen without messing anything up. I did. Here we go. I succeeded. So Nate Belmar still cruising along. Just cracked 6 figures in MRR from last week. I think last week was at 80 something, and now he's at 100, which is great. And he's still cranking along, which is awesome. Davey got the celebrity system, 17,000. Right behind him with Jennifer is at 17.7. So that might be a game to watch. But overall, the top 10 super tight. Besides Nate, who kind of looks like he's run away with it a little bit so far this month. Like, I mean, between 10th place and 2nd place, you're looking at a $4,400 spread. This is probably the tightest top 10 that we've had since the games have started. So I'll put my future flag on there. I'm going to call that the last 72 hours of this games is going to get really spicy. And so it's going to be really excited to see how you guys are doing it. And I can't wait, because what's interesting, and I'll tell you this just for everybody overall, is that the amount of ways that we continue to see people win the games, it just continues to amaze me how many different models people are doing to drive traffic. And it just shows how many different, monetization. You got people who are doing outbound, you got people who are doing phone sales, you got people who are doing high ticket, you got people doing low ticket. And I also like, if you just look at the all-time leaderboard, the mix of price points is actually very varied. You've got people at $1,000 a month, like Alberto, and then you've got, Hams at like 120, and then you've got Anime Shreds, I think at 20, what are they at now? 20 something, I think. What are they at? 22.
22.
Yeah, 22 a month. So you've got people all over the place in terms of price point. I will say this as a quick pro tip. For those of you who have very low volume, everybody tries to get to the things that are like, well, that doesn't scale before they like make money. And I find that hilarious. So like, you can either be busy or broke. And if you've got time, then you have no excuse not to make money. What I mean by that is, if you DM people and then try and send them your link, hop on the phone, talk to them. Like, it's okay to sell people over the phone for a $30 a month membership or a $99 a month membership. I say this because the first 5 years of my career, I sold people into $99 a month memberships in person. Talk about the least efficient model ever. But guess what you get really, really good at? You get really, really good at selling, and you get really, really good at copy by extension, because you learn the prospect. And so one of the things I think is wildly underrepresented in a lot of business stuff is, and even sales training is, I would rather spend 99% of my time learning about the prospect and 1% about the product. Because if you know who you're selling to, you can say whatever they want, and then all you do is you change the thing, right? You change the thing that you're introducing them to. And I remember realizing this when I was looking at my like webinar presentations over the years. Like, I've done a lot of webinars. And when I stayed in the same markets, I realized that almost the first 75% of the decks were almost identical, independent of what I was selling. Whether I was selling semi-private, personal training, group training, or supplements, or meal plans, or nutrition, I pretty much still spent the first 75% talking about the exact same thing, which is about them and their problems. And so I would rather understand my prospect, my customer, way more than trying to obsess about the product. And I will say that most of the times, and I think I told this story last time, but people only buy because of like 1 or 2 things. And so you most of the time just need to understand what that 1 or 2 thing is, and then just say, yes, we can help you with that. And that's it. And then they're like, done. I'm in. And so it's much more like finding the combination of a lock than trying to say, here's 20 different things that could unlock all locks. Just try and find the 1 or 2 that'll work for them. And the advantage of the sales calls is that you will be able to really quickly prune down your stack in terms of the bullets that exist on your about page to convert a higher percentage. And so I'll give you a fun little tidbit. Like, there's just 3 bullets. There's a million things in Skool. Think about all the stuff I could talk about in terms of features that Skool has. I just talk about 3. So it's like, you get calls with me. If you have questions, which that's what we're about to do, you've got the monthly mastermind with 8 hours. If you price compare that to the things that we could call it mastermind, that's usually like a $10,000 to $100,000 thing, depending on the level of access. And then you've got the platform that will actually facilitate everything you need, so tech is no longer a problem. And so it's like, most people hate tech, most people want questions answered, and most people have a value that they ascribe, at least on some level, to having huge amounts of very deep business knowledge specifically applied to their business. And so when I looked at, and this is just from the data you guys are giving us, we're like, okay, well, those are the things that people care about the most. So those are the 3 bullets. Are there other things? Sure, but they'll find that out on the inside. And I prefer to leave room for over delivery. Like, if we promise 3 things and deliver 10, awesome, they're not upset. But if we promise 10 and they only use 3, then they might feel like they're not using it, and they actually cancel because you give too much. Kind of crazy. Okay, Kirby with the feature announcement. Drum roll, please, everybody. Maybe in the chat, a little drum. Do we have drums? Is there a drum emoji?
I wish.
While you do that, I'm going to look for a drum emoji.
All right, this is the announcement, SkoolGamesMap.com. So if you come to Skool Games, you go to the right, click Skool Games Map. Now you can see everybody else that's inside of the Skool Games, where they are. You can make friends. You can meet people in person. Click this button in the bottom right. You click add location. You can add where you are, and then you can scroll into wherever you live. If you're in LA, there's 6 people. Vegas, there's 2. You can click, open up their Skool account, send them a message, and make friends inside of the Skool Games, potentially even business partners. So once again, click the link on the right, Skool Games Map, add your location, message people around you. And if you meet anybody in person, selfies in the chat of you guys meeting is always appreciated.
Hey, Kirby, question. If I want to add my location, what are my steps there? So how do can you just follow through that? Just because I'd love it for people to see it.
Yes. So you come bottom right, click this button here, click add location. Then it's going to give you, oh wait, was my screen sharing when I said that?
Wrong screen. There we go. Okay. Bottom right.
Okay.
Here we go.
Bottom right, add location, get your school ID, and there's a little pop-up here that tells you how to find it. Add it here, add your display name, and then add location. So you could type in Las Vegas, and then whatever, you live on the strip now, boom. Add these two things in, and then you'll pop up here.
Boom. Great. So that's all you guys have to do. And I don't think like, you don't have to give like exact addresses or anything. So you're just saying like an area. So you're not like giving people your front door address, because that would be little sketch, or I would be a little sketched out. People can be kind of weird, but this way it's like, okay, we're in driving distance. Like maybe we meet up for a coffee. Maybe we do a little partnership deal. Maybe we have something that we can work together in common. So I think it's pretty sweet. We'd love to see some pictures of you guys meeting up in the real world. The whole point is to facilitate communities, and part of that is IRL, which for the kids, by the way, IRL is what us old people mean for in real life. There we go. Did I say it right? Okay, rocking. So let's do A's and Q's and A's. You have questions, and I may or may not have answers, but at least I'll try and entertain a little bit.
Earlier this week, I made a post asking for your questions. I'll start there. When we get through them, if we get through them, we'll move on to questions in the chat. I've broken up the questions by traffic, conversion, price, and retention, which according to someone pretty smart are the 4 different pillars of growing a school community. Traffic, growth operators, influencer partnerships. We've got 3 questions. First one, Jamie Walters. My current situation is I just got headhunted for big business events, the fastest growing UK business growth companies. My desired situation is have a community of young, aspiring entrepreneurs looking to break free from the 9-to-5. My problem is building brands to attract people without running ads. My question is, should you or can you suggest a cheaper and just as efficient way of getting a bigger brand with someone who doesn't have the money to invest in paid ads or the time to just create content hoping for something to go viral?
Can you suggest a cheaper or efficient way to getting a bigger brand with someone who doesn't have the money to invest? So I'm guessing he doesn't have the money to invest or the time. So you have neither money nor time, and you want to build a big brand. That's what it sounds like. Okay. So in my opinion, Jamie, the way that I would do this is the starting from zero post that I have that outlines this in a lot of detail. I also made a long 45-minute video that went out on YouTube. If you guys didn't see it, I think it's how to 10x your business overnight is the title that won the split test. But basically it's about how to attract one mega influencer. And that is basically how you, like, if you have no money and you have no time, then the only thing that you can do is reach out to people. Now that still takes some time, but if you're like, I want to invest 0 resources into having a big brand overnight, like a very tough ask. It's like, I have no inputs, but I would like tremendous output. Now I get the not having money, and I can understand not wanting to have the time to make content, but you have to have some time. Like I have this saying, but you can't be both busy and broke, right? And so you can have free time and be broke, or you can be busy. And if you're still broke and you're busy, then you're doing the wrong stuff, right? And so I would highly recommend using outreach as the method, which would then leverage someone else's time and money or the audience that they've already created in order to build that brand. And so if you want to have your desired situation, community of young aspiring entrepreneurs looking to break free from 9-to-5, then I'd be looking at the people that cater those, and you probably already follow some of them. And so I would start with the people that you already follow, that you're already a big fan of. And I would go above and beyond to try and get close to them. And sometimes, just to be really candid with you, sometimes it takes, a few months of kind of warming people up. It's kind of like, you want to ask a girl on a date for, on Instagram. It's like if you slide in the DM and say, hey, let's meet at my place tonight. They might be like, nah, especially if it's a super hot girl. She probably has a zillion of those. And I'm using this as a figurative analogy, but like if somebody's got a massive following of the exact audience that you have, they're a super hot girl in the situation, right? They're the pretty girl to dance. And so it might be complimenting them on their content, might be, feeding into some of the things that you like about them, trying to provide value ahead of time, which I talked about in the webinar at length, which is like actually like make them content by making stuff custom for them, tagging in it, mentioning them. Most people do look at their tags. I look at my tags still, because if someone makes a cool post, I can just share it and it saves me time. And you can demonstrate value in advance by doing that. But I'm going to be honest with you, like it's going to take time, some time, less time than building a brand on your own, but I don't know what other choice you have with those constraints. All right. Let's see here. Jeff.
Yeah, some of these questions we can skip current and desired. His current is basically he is making 11K in some job. His desired is he wants to quit his job. His problem is that he can't find an influencer to partner with. He's ran out of influencer leads. He's been reaching out to influencers to find a partnership and have no successful replies. He's used the script you've recommended. He sent 700 cold emails, and the cold email script from $100 million leads sent another 300. I even pre-made school groups for some of the influencers, pre-recorded a Loom video demoing it, sent that in email and received no interest. My question is, do I just keep doing what I'm doing, or is there a better path to take?
So there's something that's not working in this process, because 1,000 reach outs is a lot, to be really honest with you. So I'm trying to look you up if he's on Instagram. Let's see. Jeff Rowell. Let's see here. Jeff Rowell. Let me see if I can find you on Instagram. I cannot find you on Instagram. Maybe this is you. I don't know. Career nerd, wicked sense of humor. I don't know if that's you or not. It looks like you, the closest to, nope, that's not you. Okay. So I don't know where you're reaching out, but I'm guessing if the response rate is low, then they're looking at other things that are causing them to not respond. So I would need to have a better breakdown of the actual metrics of the funnel, meaning, okay, I can see the inputs, which is you have 1,000 messages out. Okay. What percentage of them have opened? What percentage of them have replied back? How many of them are do not respond? Okay. So this, I'll bet you, this is the problem. I'll just tell you right now, this is the problem. I highly recommend going through the webinar that I made literally on this, because the first step, you make $11,000 a month, verify yourself. Look, you have 0 followers. We gotta make you look more legit, so that you can get more response rate. And this is me just trying to take out the fluff of the response, with the niceties that be sandwiched around this. This is why no one's responding. 0 people follow you. And so this honestly looks to me like a bot account. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it looks like that. And so honestly, the first thing I do is invite people who actually know you, in the real world, to just follow you like a normal, on Facebook and Instagram, it's invite all your friends, or befriend all those people. You're following 8 people, go follow the 1,000 friends that you know in the real world, and you probably at least have a few hundred followers that'll follow you back. That's kind of how it works. And verify yourself, and then all of a sudden it'll look a little bit better. That's I'll tell you right now, if that's where the GMs are coming from, that's probably the issue. And I know that this sounds painful, because you're shoot, I spent all those messages, but this is the ignorance tax, man. This is how we pay it down. I do think though that you have this job, we have to look at the metrics of the funnel, and that seems obvious bottleneck number 1. Now, you did do email, and I don't know what it looked like from the email perspective, but I would imagine if you had no response rates there too, there's something very early on that's causing people to not trust that this is legit. That's the problem.
And this is the video that Alex is referring to. It's very, very, very good. And anybody that's looking to do influencer partnerships should definitely watch this video.
I literally made it for everyone here. Just to be clear, I made this video, I made it public, but it's for you guys. I made it for you guys. It's a full training on how to think through it, just who you're targeting, how to pick the right influencers, what's a message, what are some of the hacks in terms of making your profile more attractive, all of these little things, so that you can avoid kind of wasted effort. But that's okay. Jeff, just as a side note, you actually did 1,000 reach outs. So I'm fucking proud of you for doing that, because you actually did something, which already puts you above 99% of people. So I promise you, if you stick with it, you will get there. And it'll literally be one tweak. And I'll tell you this quick story that might drive this home. I had a physical therapist who was working with me on stuff. And first time I met him, I was like, so you got a lady? I was just making conversation. He was like, no. And I was like, oh, all right. You looking? You on the market? And he was like, yeah. I was like, okay. Why don't you have a lady? I was like, you on the apps? He's like, I'm on the apps. He's like, the problem. He's like, I do it every day. He's like, I'm just not getting the matches. And I was like, oh, that sucks. I was like, oh fuck. I actually felt kind of awkward for me in that situation. And so this is what he did. So I saw him 6 months later, and I was like, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh my God, my life's amazing. I've got 6 girls I'm dealing with at the same time. And I was like, wow, that's a huge 9-day difference. I was like, what'd you do? He's like, oh, I bought a course on how to use apps to get girls. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. But he's like, dude, the biggest thing is I just changed the pictures. He's like, I just got professional pictures. That was it. He's like, I got professional pictures, and I fixed my first line, which, by the way, the line was, my name's Zach, you're cute as shit. That was it. That was the first line that got responses. All right. For the guys. And so that was it. That was the big thing. He's like, and then all of a sudden he went from 5 matches a week to 10 a day. And he'd been doing the work for months. And so it's usually just 1 or 2 tiny things. Jeff, I think if you had you have 0 followers. If you had a normal amount of followers, and you probably have people respond to this post, because I'm guessing no one is, because you have no followers, no one's seeing it, right? And you verify your thing, and you follow, because right now you follow 8 people too. It doesn't look like you're active. And so that would be the big, I don't have the email, so I can't see that, but just from the big obvious of this, that's the fix. So that's my little story there. Okay, let's hear the next Q&A.
All right. Final one for the growth operator, James Wyman. My current situation is I'm about to take on my first influencer client using the how I would win the SkoolGames Hormozi method. My desired situation is to crush this opportunity. Influencer has 300,000 following on IG. My problem is I've never done this before. My question is, what do I do at the first meeting to make sure this goes well? Partnership expectations, roll out a plan for building the community and marketing plan for influence to push the new community. I want to lay it out so it's very professional.
All right, perfect. So this is great. So one, I actually walked through the presentation inside of that presentation that Kirby showed of like how to lay out that little talk. So go watch that. Number one. Number two, I talk about this, the closer framework, and it's a different presentation. I have that on YouTube, but I'll walk through it with you guys very quickly, which is closer framework is an acronym for CLOSER. Clarify why they're there, label them with a problem, overview their past experiences, sell them the vacation, explaining with their concerns, reinforce the decision. Those are the 6 steps of the closer framework. And so what we're trying to do here is that when you get on the phone or you Zoom, or ideally if you can go and meet in person, if you can, like if you don't want to squander this opportunity, like if you meet in person, the likelihood that they'll follow up, that they'll respond, that they'll take it seriously, that they'll take more time with you is just, it's increased tenfold. So if you're really serious about this guy, and ideally it's somebody that you followed for a little bit, you actually are a fan of them and of their work, and you think that they have a good audience, then I would say, listen, man, where are you currently at? Just like we have these questions, what's current, what's your desired, right? And what's the issue and why haven't you done this so far, right? So this is, we're clarifying the problem. C is like, you're here, you want to go here. What's the obstacle? That's the C. The L is literally just restating it back to them. You're labeling them with a problem. Okay. So what it sounds like is you want to keep making media, but you also want to make money, but you don't have the time. Does that sound about right? Yes. Okay, cool. Well, then I think that we might, have you done anything else like this in the past that you've tried? This is overview past experiences. And the reason we do the O, and this is just from my experience, is that it helps you diffuse bombs. And so rather than just be like, great, I can help you out, let's hear all the things they've tried that they hated, so you don't say any of those, right? And so they're going to tell you all the things they've tried so far, or all the things they didn't like. And then that'll arm you or help you navigate the landmines that are going to be in the conversation. You're like, okay, totally get why you didn't like that thing. Oh, the white label thing. Oh, you did the affiliate deal for 10%. Yeah, you didn't have any equity, you didn't have any ownership. That completely makes sense. Oh, they give you 10%. Well, I want to do the flip of that. Like, I want to take 30, you get 7. All right. And the real thing is like, again, there's a big part of this is that every position has an advantage. So the fact that it's your first one matters less, because you just, as long as you treat it like a professional, it's like, oh, it's not my first one. This is my only one. There's a difference there. It's like, I'm looking for a partner. I'm not looking for clients. And that's what we're pitching here is I'm looking for a partner. I'm not looking for, I don't need 100 partners. Zuckerberg didn't have 100 side hustles. I'm just trying to do this one, and I want to do it big. And so if you want somebody who's just trying to like take you on the side, then yeah, they'll have 100 customers and you'll have a support rep and account rep. But like for me, you'll have my cell phone, and this is all my time's going to go to you. Like, I want to make this work. And so and then all we have to do now is just projections and expectations. All right. So projections being, hey, I think it might be reasonable. You have 300. I took the last 20 posts you made. I looked at your stories. Hey, maybe you can pull up how much reach you're getting. Okay. I think that it'd be reasonable for us to get 1% of those people to potentially join the group. And if you're willing to, we can offer 1 call a week that you hop on for new people. It adds it as a nice bonus. And you can use that as a CTA as well. And a big little nugget that came out of the mastermind day, which I want to share with everyone here, especially anybody who drives traffic with really anything, is the CTA of, hey, if you like this, get more inside of my school group, is not as powerful as, if you like this, we can personalize this to you and your situation. Personalization is going to get way higher click-through rates, way higher interest, way higher conversion. And so I think you can use that as the CTA. You can even use that little nugget when you're talking to them in the sales pitch. And again, it's about partnership, not about clients. And if you do this right, which with a 300,000 person, like this can easily be a $10, $20, $30,000 a month thing, right? As long as they're taking it seriously and you're taking it seriously, you want to take as much of the work off their plate as you can. And if that also means, because let me tell you what they also want, which you can also get in the discovery, is they also want to keep growing. So they want to make more money and they want to get more famous. I'm just telling you that's probably what they're going to want. And so you want to facilitate both those things. And so you say, hey, not only will you do this call like once a week in the group or whatever and answer Q&As, I'll clip that stuff and I'll give you content that you can put publicly. And that'll also make more content for you. And then allow us to integrate CTAs. Hey, if you like this clip, like you can join on to my school community where I hop on and I will help personalize for your goals for whatever it is, the thing that you sell.
All right. Ads. Robbie DeWeese. My current situation is I'm getting customers through cold outreach on Facebook to blue collar business owners and charging $11 a month. Cool. My desired situation is to get paid ads working to bring more members to my group. My problem is I'm not sure how to start out with the targeting. My question is, how do I determine targeting for an avatar I've never served market to before?
Totally reasonable. Okay. So what I'd want to do is, I will tell you how I would do this conceptually. I haven't clicked buttons on an ad campaign in 7 years. So I will just tell this how I do this this conceptually, which is like where you're getting your list for your cold outreach. Over time, you want to put all those emails into a document. Now you can either, like, if you look in the leads book, there's 3 ways. You can scrape them with a tool, you can manually assemble them, which is basically what it sounds like you're doing right now, or you can buy them. You can go to a list broker, right? And so there's like Info USA, you can just Google it. The list brokers change over time. But fundamentally, you get a list of names, usually a few thousand, and then you upload those into Facebook as a lookalike audience. And then you use that as your primary targeting. Once you get enough opt-ins to the pixel, then you can start opening up targeting, and then Facebook's algorithm and the AI will take over from there. So just to be clear, you really only want to have interests for as little time as humanly possible so that you can just do open targeting and Facebook will take it away from there. And so if you don't have that, that's like V1 of what I would look for from targeting. The lesser version of that would be you look at interests that blue collar people follow and you try and target those interests. So the interests that those people like, anyone who's into this kind of thing will also be into the type of community that I'm into, and then you promote that way. I will say with $11, if you don't have a brand, it will be tough to be break even on the acquisition. And so I might consider raising the price a little bit. And I'm only bringing this up because Evelyn ran this test, and I think I brought this up last week, but like, I think she was at $7, went to 28, almost didn't change conversion at all, 4x the price. And so I think this is just for everybody here. Many of you are selling out of your own wallet, which is okay. Well, not really okay, because your wallet will keep looking like your wallet than someone else's wallet. But if you raise your prices a little bit, like you have a little bit more flex here. Because the nice thing with education information is it's all based on the perceived outcome that someone's going to get. And then whatever discount they apply to the likelihood that it's going to occur, right? And so if you charge $49 a month and you're promising this big thing, sometimes, believe it or not, people might believe that they actually get the outcome more if you raise the price. And so there are times where conversion rate actually increases when you raise the price, because there's okay, I'm going to give you a little business side note. So when we take over a company, what we do is we run something called a Van Western pricing index. And so what that is you ask 4 questions and you survey an audience. And you say, at what price would this be so expensive? You list out the features. At what price would it be so expensive that I would never consider buying it? The second question is, at what price would it be so cheap that I wouldn't believe that it would work? And and some of you guys are below that price point. I don't know. I got this AI balloons thing going on. Okay. The third one is, at what price would I believe it, but it would be a great bargain? And then at what price would it be, I would decide to buy it, but it would hurt. It would sting. And so then that gives you basically the range, and you plot that on a chart, and you can literally just look at the area under the curve to see where's the price point where the highest number of people say yes times price. And then that gives you the sweet spot for pricing. Now, when you survey, there's always going to be some error, but it will give you a much better range. This is how I did pricing for Alan. And we 4x'd our pricing in terms of our revenue per customer by doing it this way. And so you have no idea what they're going to value it at, depending on the promise that you have for that particular avatar. And so I think a lot of you guys have flex on price. And so for you specifically, I think it was I don't want to mess it up. Okay. I think that you can, one, get the targeting the way I outlined it, and you may need to increase the price to make sure that it's profitable on the acquisition. And I'm just trying to say that because remember, whatever your price is up front, you multiply it by 2 because you have 30 days to recoup the cost. So you get day 1 transaction and ideally day 30 transaction, so that you could put that towards whatever credit card or whatever thing that you're doing. And I usually use 30 days because most people can get interest-free money in 30 days.
Devin in the chat, who has a community helping people launch ads on Skool, says that he has crazy results. Yeah, this is me just reading the chat.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't think I can share that. Anyway, he says, we have crazy results direct driving people to Skool about page using the lookalike audience on our first 30 purchases, which is interesting.
As soon as you guys get some traffic, you want to just let Facebook do its thing, to be very clear. So this is the targeting strategy I outlined is 0 to 1, right? And the nice thing, whoever asked the question, is that if you do the method that you're doing right now to get customers in, you still want to make sure that you're seasoning the pixel in the meantime, so that those are still counting towards teaching the pixel what you want, more like this. And so you can you basically do have to elbow grease your way in the beginning, unless you're willing to blow money, which I'm guessing you're not, to get the targeting to find, to approximate into where it needs to go.
Onto content. Sal Kapitik says, my current situation is, I think we can skip to problem. My problem is I've been inactive on the social medias for a long time. I'm reluctant to pull the trigger of going all in and struggling with imposter syndrome for being inactive for so long and not sure what niche to focus on. My question is, how do I get over imposter syndrome, pulling the trigger to go all in, being shy to go on camera, and choosing a niche to focus on?
Oh, let me show you this real quick. This might drive the point home. Hold on. I've got a good little image for this. Here we go. So that's a picture of the sun. And you see the little arrow? That's Earth. That's where all of us live. There we go. That's where all of us live. And so if you're really worried about what other monkeys are going to say about you on camera, just remember that they're going to die. And so are you. and in 100 years it won't matter because social media won't even be here. So all that to say, like the imposter syndrome, like you haven't pretended to do anything yet. So the way that you get around imposter syndrome is just don't claim shit you haven't done. Like there's nothing impostery about saying like, hey, I used to struggle with anxiety and I still do a little bit, but I did this thing and it helped me. Hopefully it helps you. It's the big shift from how to how I. It's not the people, and I see you guys, I see you every day in school being like, how to be successful. And it has like nine posts, mind bullets in their post to the school community. You click over their profile and they have 0 people inside the group besides themselves. It's like that person should have imposter syndrome because they're trying to preach on something they haven't done, which for some reason I get it because people see what someone who is doing that does and says, oh, I'll do that too. But you lack the proof to be valid, which is why you feel like an imposter. So you only feel like an imposter if you pretend. So just don't pretend. Just be honest. Just say like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like I would highly encourage you to just make a video and post it just to see what your thumb does before you shake where it says share or post. I actually don't know what it says. My team does most of the post, but whatever the button does the sharing. And just like, it's okay. It's fine. But just share, like you said, I don't know which niche to focus on. Focus on the one that you think you can help the people the most with, which if you're like, I don't know who I can help the most with, talk about the one that you've helped yourself with the most. Like I got in shape and then people started asking me about how I got in shape. And I said, this is what worked for me. I'm not saying it's the only way to do it. This is what worked for me. And if you're a guy and you're, busy as a professional, which is what I was at the time, I was like, this might work for you. That's how I got my first 20 guys. So my first online business, believe it or not, I actually just wrote this email today. My first online business, my first business of any kind was actually a community, which I find awesome. Like I didn't plan this. So the free training project, if you guys read the book, was a nonprofit that I started. And it was because I was so afraid to charge money. So I get the fear. I get it. I was so afraid I didn't even want to take it. I was like, no, it's not for me. It's for charity. Right. And then after a certain point, I was like, shoot, I wonder if I could just get these people to pay me instead of a charity. And after a few months, they were like, dude, I don't care. I just love the service. And so I just transitioned them over. And it went from the free training project to the skinny to swole project. That was my first business. And I charged $200 a month. And I had 20 guys who signed up for the skinny to swole project. And I knew 100% of them. Like I hit up every person that I knew and was like, hey man, I'm helping get jacked. And so that was my first $4,000 a month. That was how I quit my job. That was it. That was what I did. I had 20 people added to a Facebook group because Skool didn't exist then. And I made workouts for everybody. And once a week I would deliver nutrition and workouts, and they had my cell phone if they had questions. That was the business. That was the whole business. I got 20 guys. And I want to say this. I want to shake everybody again. Was it scalable that I gave them my cell phone? Was it scalable that I hopped on a phone call with all of them to sell them what I was going to be doing for my $200? Yes, because I had no money. Like it's worth it. I mean, you can pull stuff back later. Once you have a little bit more leverage, you have a little bit of cash flow, you can pull it back. But don't be afraid to do the unscalable in the beginning. You don't need to be fancy. Yes. By the way, this is a wonderful blog. If you want to look at blogs, there's great stuff in there.
Very good stuff. All right. Next question. Andres Diaz. I've partnered with an influencer who has 220K followers, and I'm an industry
Yep, there we go. Okay.
He's an industry expert. So Andres is an industry expert, partnered with a big influencer, wants to create a community with low churn. Cool. But he's just started off by letting a few people inside of the community.
Right.
The problem is, I don't know when it's the right time to start openly promoting on social media. I'm unsure if we're going about it the right way. And I don't know how many members we should allow into our community at each stage iteration. My question is, when's the right time to start promoting the community openly on social media? How many members should we allow in? And what time period if we aim to create a high quality product with low churn?
Okay. Great question. So I also talk about this in the leads book. I like to start servicing customers at a lower rate and increase it by 20% or so every 5. And the thought process behind this is that I want to do this so that I can get results. And so you're like, when is the right time? The time is when you have enough testimonials that you can convert. And so it might be 10 people and you get 100% of them results, then you probably have an amazing community. If you get 100 people and you get 10 of them results, well, then maybe you can improve it, or the price isn't high enough, which again, some of you guys just need to increase the price, and that's okay, right? Like people also take it more seriously if you have a bigger investment, which is why some of you it might behoove you to just hop on the phone, talk to people, tell them what you're going to help them do, right? And then the community is just the vehicle for facilitating whatever transformation they're after. But in terms of the number, I just want a certain number of testimonials that I have confidence that I can actually deliver on the result that I'm promising. Because like that's what the imposter syndrome comes up when you feel like you're selling something that you don't believe in. And so I just want you to believe in whatever you're selling. And if that takes 5 people or that takes 50 people, that honestly depends on different founders. Like I had one of the companies companies that we invested in very, very early on. He did 100 B2B transactions before he charged anything because he was so concerned. And he had 100 testimonials before he decided to charge. I think that's a little bit extreme, but I did know he was going to be dedicated as hell to the product, which is why I invested in the company. On the flip side, if you have like 2 testimonials, maybe you wait till you have like 10, right? And so I think there's a sweet spot. I don't think there's a perfect moment. I think you'll know when you're like, I delineate this in the book. When you don't have enough time anymore because all of the people that you let in at a discount or at beta pricing are taking up too much of your time, that you're like, man, I need to raise my price. That's when you raise your price. When the supply, you basically create artificial or real supply, demand, and equity so that now the supply of your time shrinks, which drives up price. That's how it works. At least that's how I like to do things. And I've done that with almost every single business I've ever started. I like to start with beta users. I like to start with free users. I like to get the kinks out. I ask for forgiveness. I do it in exchange for testimonials. They give me the testimonials and they give me feedback. If they don't give me testimonials, they'll tell me what I need to do better. And we keep doing that until we get testimonials consistently. At that point, I can market those testimonials and I tell those people, hey, now that I wasn't charging you, do you want to start paying me because I can't service you anymore because I got all these people who are trying to pay me.
Okay, conversion now. Christian Salih. My current situation is I'm launching a reselling community with a YouTuber that has 120k subs in a week. My desired situation is to have a VSL on the About page that helps to convert members into the community. My problem is I don't know what to put on my Skool About page to make it concise and tempting. My question is, how would you go about creating a VSL, specifically for a reselling or any make money online community?
Leave it up for a second. Just a side note for everybody. I love how many people are partnering. Like, I love that you guys actually are following I'm actually really happy. Like, this is awesome. This is really cool. Okay. So with the nice thing about Skool is we've done a little bit of the heavy lifting for you in terms of formatting and like the stuff that matters most. And so when you look at conversion, I like to look at what are the biggest people who have mastered conversion. Amazon has mastered conversion. Airbnb has mastered conversion. Zillow has mastered conversion. And if you look at the layout of their pages, they're more or less similar. They have a picture, they have a carousel of other images. They have one video sometimes at the end. It's like the walkthrough of the place, or the last one's the image of the product. Like, notice the common themes. Like, this is what creates conversion. And almost all of these tech companies converge at the same layout, more or less. And so that's why Skool is structured that way, is because we already know that this is what converts human beings. And you'll also notice that if Amazon thought that 20-page long sales letters is what converted people, then that's what Amazon would look like. But Amazon doesn't look like that. You've got a product, you've got a carousel, you sometimes have a video, which is either a testimonial or a product demonstration, right? There you go. Like, I actually think ours could be better, but the thing that matters most for ours is the reviews, which we're building, right? Like that obviously drives a lot. But then you have your bullets of the main things, and that's it. Let's see. I think if you scroll down, there should be some sort of pretty image thing. Can you scroll down a little bit, Kirby? I think there's something below this. Keep going. Scroll down. Can you scroll lower on the page? Oh,
is it not scrolling?
There it is. Yeah, from the publisher. Yeah, so you've got some images there that kind of do some of the highlights for the book. But fundamentally, it's series of images, video, 5 bullets. Like 5 bullets that are differentiated in and of themselves that are going to be valuable. And if you're like, well, I don't know which things are valuable, that's why I'm telling you to hop on the phone and ask people. Like, to quote Paul Graham that Kirby just pulled up the blog for, almost all problems in business can get solved by talking to your customers more. And everyone here is afraid to talk to their customers. Just talk to them. Just say, hey, if we offered this, would this be valuable? How would you say it? And you start to hear their language of how they would describe the feature. And then you can use that language too. And for most people, like, this is a very valuable question. If we only did one thing in the community that would make it worth 10 times more than what the price is, what would it be? Just ask that question. It's open-ended. And what happens is, because most people buy because of one thing. They read the list, but then they're, ooh, that's the one I want. And then they buy, especially at a low ticket price point. And so most of you guys, there's just one thing that if you just did that, they're like, it's worth it. So I'd recommend getting on the phone. We do this now. It's not like we're too big for this. We do this all the time. And so I recommend, like, we're not preaching something that we don't do ourselves. Like, we listen to you guys. That's why this is Q&A, right? Like, it wasn't Q&A before, it is now, because we listen to you. And so talk to the customer. Like, we would, and I want to impress upon this. You will not get it right the first time. Literally, in the history of business, no one has gotten their product right on the first shot. It's always iterations. So it's a guarantee that it will be wrong. And that's okay, because at least you got it out there, and you'll talk to people and you'll change the first bullet, and then you'll reorder the bullets, and then you'll have a strong opener, and then you make sure the last bullet's really strong too. And you can add, I think the element of personalization is really, really good. If you have the time, strong recommendation, add a personalized onboarding call. Like, it's such a good CTA. So many people will buy just for that that one thing. You're going to get paid to talk to your customers, which will extend the LTV. It'll increase the price point. Like there was a tech company. I can't remember the name of it. It was a fitness tech company, but basically it was right in the rage of COVID when there was like Mirror and Tonal and all this crap. And so what they did was they had remote personal training. That was their whole shtick. And they realized that they 5x'd LTV by simply having one person take one call for 30 minutes to onboard customers. And so like, again, I think you'll get data, you'll increase conversions. You might, for those of you who have higher level services, if you want to add that in, you can sell them there. Like there's a lot of opportunity there. If you're already getting a ton of volume, then do it as a group onboarding. But I'd strongly recommend at least once a week, have a call that's just for new customers, just for new group or community people to just welcome to the community, see the approximation of access. They get an immediate reward for signing up. And I think all those things are benefits that will make the page convert better. So TLDR, fill out the pictures, fill out the carousel, add one quick video. If you can make it a testimonial, that would be awesome. 5 bullets, which you'll find out by talking to customers on the phone, and then you'll tweak them until the conversions continue to go up. And I know that the conversions that I think are rolling out in the next few weeks.
Okay, Annie Bourne. My current situation is newbie, helped hubby. My desired situation is 10K a month. My problem is I currently don't have a speciality. My question is, how do I find my speciality?
Okay, this is a great question. So thank you, Annie. So it might not be that you have a specialty. It might be that you become a reporter. And so what I mean by that is you have a problem, like there's probably problems that you want to solve in your life. And so it might be you trying to demonstrate you figuring out how to solve this thing, whatever it is, and then bringing other people like influencers to that community who can add value to them. Now, in the beginning, you don't have a big community, right? And so this is going to be, I think we had a great example in the 8 ways to win the school games. One of the guys documented his journey on Kirby, it was like he was a cancer survivor, and then he started doing cycling, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so he just documented his journey. He doesn't pretend to be an expert at anything. And so the thing here is, and this is like, I really want to drive this home, is that you can either be, quote, an expert based on an achievement that you've already done, or you become an expert based on work that no one wants to do. And so I use this example because it's really simple, but like I could have said, hey, I added 8 million people across all my audiences using this content strategy. Or I could say, I posted 35,000 times over the last 40 months. This is what I learned. I could not even talk about the output. I just talk about my inputs. And a lot of people just want the deal on time. And so Annie, if you're like, I don't know what my specialty is, you could say, I'm helping moms solve this problem. If that's whatever it is, it's a problem that you're solving. You're like, I spent 200 hours solving this problem and I put all the solutions in one place and I continue to improve it every day. And that's you discovering it with them. And you do the work that they wish they had time to do, and they buy it from you at a discount. So think about it this way. If someone pays you $20 a month to then spend 50 hours of your time so that they can spend 10 minutes of their time, then they feel like it's a great return on their time. And so I fundamentally see education, information, and media this way, is that we are just taking huge amounts of information and we're distilling it down and we're curating it, because there's no lack of information on the internet. That's what, like, it's not about more, it's about better.
Okay, on to price. So John Felix, his community is $2 a month.
Okay.
He wants to increase it over time to $29 a month.
Sweet.
He has 19,000 followers.
Nice.
His question is, given his credentials and his audience, what's the most effective pricing strategy for scaling my school community?
First off, I would actually just be open and honest that this is what I'm going to do. Like, one of the best ways to drive, I mean, I think the Belmar brothers did a great job of this with their community. They just said, hey, for 48 hours, it's going to be off, and then it's going to go to this price. And so if you know that you are going to increase the prices stepwise, then you can have multiple cliffs that you drive people towards, like, hey, it's going to be $2 for the next 7 days. And then it's jumping to 10. And then it's going to be 10 for the next month. And then it's jumping to 20. And then it's going to be 20 for the next month. And I'm jumping to 29. And you know what? When I'm at 29, I might jump to 39. We'll find out. But the benefit is that if you come in at that price, you can stay at that price. And so that gives you a lifelong founder discount, which is great. So you'll actually get retention it'll drive conversion and retention, which is one of those rare times in business that you get that, where you get literally front end and back end. And this is really common in most, especially brick and mortar. You have founder pricing to cover your fixed costs. And so a lot of guys will say, okay, my rent for my gym is $5,000 a month. I need 50 people at $100 a month. And so they just say, hey, the first 50 people get $100 a month, and they get them really fast. And they say, and then I'm going to go to $200 a month. And that way they just know they lock in their rent. rent. So their rent's covered. Okay, great. And so I would like you guys to think about it that way. It's like, it's okay to let people in early for a discounted rate just to get some blood through the system, right? Just to get some flow going. And so to answer the question, you're currently at $2 a month. I think 2's super cheap. Like I don't even know if I would mention it now, to be really honest with you. I would probably be inclined to, like, if my base would be like 7, because I don't even think you're going to have a difference in conversion between 2 and 7, like, to be super candid. And then I would probably go 7 to like 18, and then maybe 18 to like 25 or 29. So I'd probably, if it were me, I would probably do 2 jumps. That's what I would do. And I would space out kind of the tranches of when you're doing it, and add some bonuses in with each time. So again, I'm encouraging you to get on the call, add a personalized onboarding in for people. Now at $7, it's tough because you have, this is why I'm a big advocate of higher prices, if you can. So you might be able to get away, like, let's break all the rules for a second. What if you charged $49 a month and you included a one-on-one call for 30 minutes, 15 minutes even, just a welcome? I mean, okay, well, you're still making $200 an hour, which based on, a 2,000 hour work year is 400,000 a year. It's top 1% income. So it's not terrible. All right. And so add a 15-minute personalized onboarding, personalized access. Like, what people join communities for, especially if there's a figurehead, is approximations of access. It's like, what's the max version of this? Is one-on-one in person with you at your house at your living table or eating dinner. That's the most this side. Well, what's the furthest this way? Is a one-to-many remote call in a private community, or really a public community. One step below that is private, because then you have a higher likelihood of having an interaction. And so it's just fractionalizing access. To increase your price, you march your access this way towards having dinner in person, one-on-one, right? And so the variables that you have here is the medium that you're doing the exchange on and the ratio of you to them, right? You could also do like 1-on-4 if you felt like it. You know what I mean? Like, you can make it, quote, semi-private in the beginning, which, by the way, extremely profitable model overall. Like 1-on-4, 1-on-6 worked exceptionally well in the education space overall. And so I would include that personalized onboarding, because I think you'll be able to charge. I want you to make money. Hopefully you're watching this. I want you to make money, and I want you to convert a higher percentage, and I want you to do it at the highest price, because those are the levers, right? So if you have a personalized offer, you'll get more clicks, you'll get more traffic. If you have a personalization offer, you'll get more people to convert. If you have a personalization offer, you'll be able to do it at a higher price. Remember the 4 levers. And if you onboard them personally, they'll stay longer. So you hit all 4 of the growth levers by making this move, which is why I'm a big advocate of. And let's just hit this. I want to hit this one obstacle before someone fucking says it. What if I have too many calls? That's like saying, what if I get too jacked from your muscle building program? What if I lose too much weight? You can always stop. Just raise the price higher. Like, if you're saying I have too much demand, raise the price. This is the nature of supply and demand. This offer is so good at this price, too many people are buying it. Guess what that means? Price goes up. That's how supply and demand works. So that's not a real problem. That's a good problem. Okay, rant over.
If you were to start again and you were to do your personal training and Skool was around at this point, would you be looking towards the higher end, towards $9.99 a month, or the lower end towards $20 a month?
Yeah, so very good question. So my most recent, the last video that I just put out, it said 13 years of business education compressed into 90 minutes. The first of the principles is sell to rich people that they pay better, right? And let me unpack that for a second. It's not that I don't like low ticket, high volume. Obviously, Skool based as a platform is low ticket, high volume. All right. So I'm not against that. It's just knowing where you're at in your career. And so it is much easier to service fewer customers, promise more, and have less operational drag to servicing them at a higher price point. They also tend to be more qualified people. And you'll also just look, like, I promise you this, if you talk to people who are paying you $500 a month, you automatically level up your mindset in terms of how much money exists in the world. And so one of the only downsides I see of starting really, really low ticket is that you're dealing with people who only have $5, and it starts to build some very strong limiting beliefs around money that I hate. And so it's really selling to different people, not necessarily that, like, you're not getting that person to pay you $1,000 a month. That person's not going to pay you. It's a different person. So that's what I want to be really clear about. The price will also signal to the prospect who this is for. And so if I were starting over, right, and I had zero audience, I'd rather sell 50 people at $1,000 a month personally, and then do everything I can to make sure that they had an exceptional experience, because then I'd have the money to do it and I'd feel like my time was being valued. So I use that as an extreme. But maybe my first ever business was 20 people at $200 a month, first ever. And so that just gives you an idea. Like that wasn't like super rich Alex. That was like, $200 a month felt reasonable. It was online. This was before online fitness was even a thing. This was 2011. So like a while ago. And that was before online training was even, I was like, I'll put them in a Facebook group and I'll charge them somewhere else. I had to like figure out how to find a payment product. Stripe didn't exist. It was a whole sort of thing. Anyways, it was through PayPal. Anyways, all that to say, if you can charge more, I would recommend that you charge more.
Okay, retention. Daniel Guilen. My current situation is I run a group that helps people learn how to code, specifically how to get a software engineering job. My desired situation is to make the process easier for the learners. My problem is becoming a self-taught developer takes a really long time. My question is, how can I structure the group to provide more wins or a feeling of accomplishments so that they don't burn out or quit before reaching their goal?
Okay, this is great. So there's a clip that, Kirby, you might have seen this. There's a clip that's going really viral right now from Elon Musk talking about education. And I think it's really brilliant. And I want to hit it because I think it'll solve this question. So he said, one of the issues with the education system is that they teach out of context. And so he said, if you want to teach someone how to use a wrench and how to use a screwdriver, the current education system has a course on wrenches and a course on, yeah, you found it. There you go. Right. Exactly. And it's got a course on wrenches and a course on screwdrivers. It's way better to say, hey, let's take apart this engine. And then people are like, oh, shoot, how do we take apart the engine? You're like, oh, I guess we need a wrench. Oh, and then your brain contextualizes why you would use this tool and in what situation. And so I'll bet you that as a self-taught developer, you didn't just like learn in theory, you started trying to build things. So if I were to do this, and I'm not a developer, to be very clear, I would probably start with the most basic homework of what someone could build. And so the end result of what they build at a basic level is the reward for the work that they learned how to do, which contextualizes the information, allows them to store it better. And so if you have many homework projects where every single time they do something, they actually have a result, they have a program that works, even if it's basic, they're going to be like, oh, I'm making progress. Like I made this. And I will bet you dollars to donuts that if you, in the first week you were able to get them to get one functional program, I will bet you that they will stay for a long time because they're like, oh my God, I can do this.
Okay, Michael Matos. His current situation is he started a free community. He has close to 30 people inside. Most of the people he knows, he's interacted with and worked out in person. He's trying to find a way for them to engage more in the community. The problem is he's stuck providing no value in the community because he's unsure how to provide value besides PowerPoints or presentation. What's 5 ways to add value to a community? Let's say fitness, for example, since it's a topic you love and understand well.
Sure. So variety of content, obviously is something that I know a little bit about. So if you think about the different ways of teaching stuff, right? One is demonstration. And so if you're doing anything in the fitness, I would want to demonstrate. So you could demonstrate food, you could demonstrate exercise, you could demonstrate putting a plan together. All of those things would be demonstrations. So that's number one. Number two is you have lecture format. So that's what you're talking about with the presentations, right? That's the second format. By the way, I'm also finding like you're gonna see some changes in my content too, because I'm getting really rapid feedback from the 2.0 change in terms of business. Like you'll see some interesting stuff. But the second is through presentations, right? Through slide decks. The third is you can use something like a whiteboard or a paper thing, which it's worth the $20 or $100, whatever it is. Like I promise you'll use your whiteboard throughout your life. That you can do quicker takes. The fourth is direct to camera, right? If you just even look at my content, the variety of types of content that exists from a teaching perspective, just me talking, saying, hey, there's 5 things. It's what we're doing right now. Like it's direct to camera. There's 5 things you need to think about. These are the 5 things, right? If I needed to come with another one, I would bring in, I'd call them up and I'd ask them for their problems. What are your problems right now? Why aren't you getting whatever outcome is? And so just like we're here, what's your current situation? What's the desired situation? What's the obstacle? Let's see if we can solve it together. And solving problems live. And then you can follow up with those people at time intervals and show the progress of those people. And so I think that's 5 or 6 different types of content that you can make inside of a community that can provide value. Also, you can do written content. So like you see posts inside of Skool, like I like to write. Literally my favorite feature of Skool, as a side note, is the fact that we can take a post that someone writes or your own post that you write over time and say, oh, this is a really meaty post. I'm going to add this to the course area, right? I want to immortalize this, right? So you can see underneath of this one in terms of our games that we've got 2 posts there. Kirby has one that's the 10K a month school checklist. And then I have my reminder to new entrepreneurs. And so you can over time create the quality, because let's be real, if you try to spend a weekend cramming out a bunch of articles, they're probably going to be bad. But I kind of see it like coats of paint. Sometimes really great masterpieces take time to put new coats of paint on. And I kind of see the education that you're building in the same light. Like I'd rather have you make one really high quality thing per week and add it in so that the value per second is as high as possible rather than seconds of value. That's going to be an ism for me. I already know it. Rather than trying to just fluff as much in. So you're like, look how much stuff is in there. You can even set the frame with them at the onset. It's like, listen, everybody here has access to Google, right? Like I'm not going to pretend like you don't have access to information. My goal is to make it as simple as humanly possible for you and make it as easy and provide you the accountability and the support to actually get to your goal. And so all the things that you asked me are about different types of content, but some of it is also just interacting with them and saying, hey, how you doing with the goal? What are your problems? And whatever problems they tell you, that becomes the nature of the content. How do you think I come up with my content? I look at the Q&As here and I make videos about it. Like literally. And so all the things that you asked me are about different types of content, but some of it is also just interacting with them and saying, hey, how you doing with the goal? What are your problems? And whatever problems they tell you, that becomes the nature of the content. How do you think I come up with my content? I look at the Q&As here and I make videos about it. Like literally, the influencer video came because so many of you guys were asking questions about it. So I made a whole presentation about it. This is how I come up with, like, how do you come up with endless content? People will always have problems. Promise you, people will always have problems. And so if you just take the work and you solve the problems for them, there's your source of content.
All right, you've caught me off.
You're good.
track.
Brian, what would be an ideal onboarding call process for the user perspective? So the way that I think about this, and this will also iterate over time, is that you're also going to have frequently asked questions. So when you get on that call, if you have no agenda, they will tell you the questions. And then the second call, you'll know the questions from the first guy. And then the next guy will ask you like 2 more questions. And then overall, like after you do 20 of these calls, you'll be like, all right, everyone has questions that fall in these 5 buckets. So let's talk about those first. 1, how frequent are the calls? Here's where you can find them. Here, go on your computer, make sure you click it, make sure it works. Great. That's where the calls are. Second, in what order should I consume the information? There's so much. All right, you are in chapter 1. I just want you to consume chapter 1. Don't worry about the rest of the stuff. Number 3, how do you connect with other people? The way you post, if you add content to the community, you're going to increase some points. You just want to walk them through what it looks like and what the result is that's going to be, right? And part of it's just like welcoming them. It's like they see a face, they see a warm body. They're like, this is a real business. This is a real person who's behind the other side here who actually wants me to succeed. So a big part of it is a little bit just the experience of like not being a dick and actually just trying to help them. And you will get a list of questions that over time will consolidate into like, these are the big 5 that everyone needs to know.
And there we go. Alex, you killed this. Shout out to everybody for showing up live. You guys are the true heroes. And thanks to everyone for asking the questions. See you next week, Monday, 2 p.m. Pacific.
Appreciate you guys.
Listen, if we get 1 out of 2 paid communities to make money, most people don't have organic audiences. So we had to figure it out or no one would stay on Skool, but we have. And that's why we have tens of thousands of groups on Skool right now. And as much as I'd like to think people love me, people stay because they make money. And we'll show you exactly how they did it. And also, just to make sure you don't get stuck on any step, I answer questions every single week. And so now's the best time to get started. So if that sounds at all interesting, the best part is you can start a community of your own absolutely free. Worst case, start for free, you decide to quit, and then you can take all the training that other people charge thousands of dollars for with you for free. Best case, you take a 0-risk move and build an online business that could change your life forever. And to be clear, I'm not asking you to decide yes or no today. I'm asking you to make an informed decision. That's it. And the only way you can do that is on the inside, not on the outside. So get inside and see if everything that we say is true and valuable to you. And if you get in and decide it's not for you, no sweat. But you can't truly make an informed decision right now for the same reason you don't buy a house without looking inside of it first, or test drive a car before buying it. So this is a guaranteed risk-free test drive. And the only reason you can make an offer that strong is because you're confident that what you have is the real deal. And I'm fairly confident that when you sign up by hitting the button below, you're getting exactly what you need to start your online business. So you might as well give it a shot. The only other guarantee is that if you don't take this shot, you'll stay right where you are right now. But if you take action, you could be the next one coming out to Vegas celebrating how quickly you built an online business with consistent monthly recurring revenue and driving away in a Cybertruck or with $100,000 in cash in your pocket. Pretty neat. So click the button below, join us in the Skool Games. I take calls every Monday, hop on and be sure to let me know you're new. I'll see you on the other side.